Hi guys, welcome back to Future Dimensions 360. As you know, in our last tutorial, we had implemented our Redux store, very basic and first Redux store of our cake shop. Until now, what we had done is we had created a React application with some necessary UI components. Then we had created secondly action creators to dispatch some methods or actions to where to our reducers, and reducers are the one thirdly we created to handle the dispatch actions and perform some sort of changes in our state. In our case, it's a cake shop, so we had implemented an action creator to buy a cake, and we had handled that cake in our reducer to decrement the number of cake in each purchase. And we had created a Redux store and we had provided that store in our React application. Now it's a time to understand how you can get access of this state that is available in your Redux store. Secondly, how you can dispatch any kind of action creator towards your reducer or towards your Redux store. So, how you can do that? Let's move forward to our code and let's try to learn with the help of code how you can do that. Let me close our action creator, cake creator, store and all that stuff what we had created and come to our cake container. So what I will do here is I will just change this method to const. Okay, and it will be an arrow function like this, and I will make it export default and our method like this. Let me do sudo npm start also so we can see if it works fine for me until now or no. So sudo npm start is giving me an error. What error is giving? Package, very sorry, I have to move forward to Redux demo folder and then I have to go on with sudo npm start. So now my application is started up and running already. Let's say this number of cake is right now a static value and we want it from where? From state. How we can do that? We need to follow 3 steps. First of all, we have to map the state to our props of React component. Secondly, we have to map dispatch method to the props of our React component, and thirdly we have to connect these methods to our React component. How we can do that is we have to create some methods here. So let's move forward and try to create some method. I know you guys will be a little bit confused in this, but it's my guarantee once this video is finished it will be very much clear for you that why we are going on to do this. So let's try to create a connector, a method called map state to props. This will allow us to map the state variable to props. What state it will be? It will be an object that is available inside the Redux store. All the states that are available inside the Redux store will be available in this state object. Why we are creating a method? This method will return nothing but just an object that will have number of cakes. So number of cake, and that will come from where? It will come from for sure state dot number of cakes. So what we have done is we had returned the same value back that we had declared in our initial state inside our reducer. If we can go, you can see this is our state variable. But why we have done this is, let's keep it in mind that, for example, if you have a large scale application, an e-commerce application, you will be having a category data, brand data, customer login, which customer is login, customer information. Like let's assume 3 things are there. So in some component you need only brand list. You don't need the customer data or you don't need the category list. How you will deal with it? You will pass the full state object inside that. That will not be feasible. It will be just an extra load towards your memory. So for that one, React Redux is what they are doing is they are making some sort of connectors that is called cake connector, you can say. Inside Redux you can create a separate file in which you can create similar function to map which state you want in terms of connection. So if you want category, you can do that. So if you want brands, you can do that. So in our case, we need just cake, so we can do that also. My actual motive is to let you understand how you can work with large scale applications. So that's why I'm doing code in a way that it will be feasible and robust. So this is how you can go on with the connectors. Let's just create it in this file for meantime, because we have just single variable or single entry in our state. If you have large scale application, large entries, or a lot of modules inside your Redux, just try to create a separate file inside each module folder named as module name followed by connector.js, and just export these methods from there. What that will contain an object of the state that you need. Similarly, we will be creating another function that will allow us map dispatch. So we don't want to dispatch, we want to use all the methods as it is. The explanation is as it is what I had told you regarding the state. You will be having couple of action creators in your large scale application. So you don't need to pass all to your to your component. You can map only those whatever you want to do. So it will return what also? It will return just an object that will give us a hold to pass the dispatch method with appropriate action creator. For example, in our case, we want to say we want to reduce, or we want to just use the buy cake method. So this is the buy cake method that is exported here. So let me create it as an arrow function. I will say just dispatch what you have to dispatch buy cake method. Okay, so this is how you can pass it here, buy cake. If it's in the connector, so you no need for you to import it inside your component folder. You can just create here a new file inside the cake named as cake connectors and just import these two methods. Let's do it in this way. Let me create that. It will be better for your understanding also. Let's say cake connectors. Okay, cake connector dot js. Okay, let's copy these two methods. What we have done is Control X and go on to cake connector, and we can just put it there. So let's say export and default. This will be our first connector, export default, and second connector will be this one, export, and it will be default. This will be our second connector. Okay, so let's say export const, not default, and let's keep it as const as well. So we are exporting two methods here. So for buy cake, we need to import that one here also, buy cake from cake actions. Okay, so let's hit save. We will be needing these two methods in where? In this cake container. How we can import them here? Let's go on and try to use import ES6. By using import ES6, you can use both names. For example, map state to props, and or let's say I will keep name as map cake state to props and map cake dispatch to props. Okay, so map cake state to props and map cake dispatch to props. We had imported both methods in our component. Now we will be needing a method that is named as connector. Okay, from where? From React Redux library. This connector is nothing but just a method that will allow us to do what? To connect our component with these methods. Whatever will be returning from cake state to map cake state to props and map cake dispatch to props. Both of these methods will return an object. It will allow us to map these to the props of which component? This component cake container. So let's go on in our application. Instead of 10, before adding this, let's do destructuring of props. I can say const, and what will be the return from here? I am just exporting number of cakes, and secondly I am exporting what? I am exporting by cake method. From where I am exporting this? I am exporting it from props, and these props are coming from where? It's coming as a parameter to our components. So let's do console.log of what? Of number of cakes and by cake. Let's hit save, go back to our browser, open up an inspector and go to console. You guys can see our number of cakes 10 are appearing here, and dispatch method is appearing here as well, that is by cake. So now we need here the dispatch the number of cakes. So let's print out here number of cakes, and in our button click event we will be calling by cake method. That will be on click event, and it will be nothing but just an arrow function that will allow us to buy a cake. So let's hit save. Why I am using this an arrow function? Because I want to call this function. If I want to pass this as a reference, then I don't need this arrow function or this brackets. Okay, so let's move forward. Let's close our console. Now our number of cakes available are 10. Let's say I will go inside my reducer and I will change the value to 20. So you guys can see my initial value for the cake stock is 20 now. As soon as we are purchasing the cake, our Redux store value is going down. As many as customers are coming, the value for the cakes are going down. So this is how you can implement very basic and normal example of cake shop with React Redux and React application with Redux store. Let me go through the code one more time. What we have done is initially we had created an application that have a div and header by default. Then we had created a cake container. Inside cake container we had created two UI component. One is h1 that is showing a number of available cake. Second is a button that will allow us to buy a cake in each click event. Then we had created our Redux store, that folder inside source called Redux, and then we have a module called cake. In case we have another module, we will be creating the next module. So each module have 4 different files. One of them is an action creator. Second one is, you can see, an action a reducer. Third one is to default. The first one is actually to define all the constants. You can give the name whatever you want. In my case, I had given it cake constants. So I have an action called by cake. I had defined it as a constant here, exported it as well, imported it in my action creator, and then I had created an action of buy a cake that is returning an object in the form of buy a cake, and that is pretty much good. It's going inside my reducer. No, this is not going actually inside my reducer, but my by cake constant is actually appearing here as well. So it's helped me to reduce the spell mistake, because by cake I had created one time already as a constant. So I had imported it in my action creator as well, and now in the reducer as well. As soon as the action type matches, I'm removing one thing from state. The rest of the concept is similar to the one that we are learning since the one video. Initial state we had created as an object, and that we had passed to our reducer as a first parameter in the form of state, and this state will be in each second call. It will be holding the value for this state. And then what we have done is we had these connectors that will allow us to return the value whatever we want as per our choice. Why? Because in case of large scale application, we don't want to use or import all the dispatch methods or all the action creators and all the state variables inside our component. Whatever we need, we will be importing those only. That's why we had created a connectors. And in the store, what we have done is we had imported a create store method from Redux, and just we had passed our reducer inside it. That's a cake reducer. Similarly, we had gone to our app.js and we had a provider method available in Redux library, React Redux library, that provided the store to our whole application in this form. Secondly, we had moved to our cake container and we have imported a connect method from React Redux, and we had passed the connectors as a first parameter, and second is our cake container that will allow us to map the return object of these methods into the props. Then we had destructor our props, and we had similarly just passed these props in our JSX. So here is our application. It's working fine. I hope you guys understand it. In case of any question, any query, you can comment us in the same video. You can reach us to our mailbox as well. Please don't forget to like and subscribe our channel. See you in the next video. Until then, take care. Goodbye.